you doing the bat signal?
88 people across 14 time zones. Alright.
Yeah.
Again, when you sign up for the back channel.
Facebooks are out.
Hello, everyone. Hi. I also like my personal thing.
Right.
I am not on.
There we go. How's that? That's
Oh
much
yeah, that
better.
sounds way better.
Sorry.
Sounds good, bro.
Alright, listen to the thing.
Alright, I'm gonna fade out here. We're gonna go to our faces.
Not disturbed for 1 hour.
What's up?
Hello, everyone.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a live special. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt, and joining us today is the AR master himself, Mr. Don Allen Stevenson III.
Hello, I'm Don. Thanks for having me. This is so cool.
And if you haven't joined us before, we usually do a podcast on Mondays at 12 Central Time. This is a little bit different. Sometimes we do a special on Thursday nights at 8 every now and then. We've been doing a lot of these often, actually.
Yeah.
So
I know.
if you're not aware, Don has just come out on Mograph.com with a mini course,
Yes.
mini crash course on AR. So that's what we're going to talk about here a little bit. And we're going to talk about not only the course, but a little bit more about AR. We're going to nerd out.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about what you do for a living.
Yeah, I guess by day, I'm a specialist trainer at DreamWorks. So I teach a lot of our software and get people onboarded and ready to work in the studio, work on movies and shows.
Cool.
And then things, a lot of digital creation. So it's a lot of like freelance work, teaching educational content, CGI, VFX, anything that's like 3D, I love.
Awesome.
For DreamWorks?
Yeah,
That's
my,
awesome.
yeah, by day. And then in the night, I'll do all my kind of personal projects and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. You're on there a lot. You're on there just about every night, aren't you?
Almost. It helps during this COVID time to, have like a community of like people I can talk to. It's really nice. It's a
Yeah, it keeps you sane.
bad,
We got. Are you on our Slack? We got to make sure you're on our Slack if you're not
Yeah, we
already.
gotta get you on our Slack channel.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
communities.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got like 1,000 people on there.
Yeah.
Boy,
Some of the best too.
Mm-hmm. Talk
That'd
to
be
everybody
dope.
on there. Yeah, we've got great artists. There's like CEOs of different companies in there, and there's a million different channels from everything from Cinema 4D, of course, to Octane, different render engines, Redshift. You've even got like a parenting channel for us
Yeah,
old dudes.
I'm very active in the parenting channel.
Yeah.
look at that.
Every other thing I say is, hey, don't have kids.
Well, it's, yeah, your course is out now. It's $37 if you go to mograph.com/classes. You can check it out there along with our other classes and sign up. And it's the first of hopefully many more little ones. And
I would like
yeah,
many courses for sure because they're manageable and they're fun, and like because the stuff changes so fast, I feel like we do need to make little mini courses to kind of keep up with, what's relevant this week, this month, this year, and then what's going to be relevant next month, next year. It evolves so quickly because I think it's like we're at the start of like the format wars for augmented reality.
yeah,
Yeah,
So
for sure.
And like players are like, we're the format, and then others are like, no, we're the format, and they're all kind of getting. I think it's a healthy competition because it's kind of just pushing the technology forward, like the developing behind it. But as a result, there's a lot of changes from almost every 2 weeks, there's a pretty big change in the space. I'll say about every 2 weeks, and it's like, whoa. Yeah, so it's fun, but it's also like you have to keep up, you have to keep jogging, you can't just like stop.
yeah.
What are the big ones right now? It's Spark AR and I don't know. AR is ARKit one of them? I hear ARKit. I don't know
For
much about
Apple?
AR. I watched a mini course though. I will tell you that. That's about as much as I know right now on AR.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Well, yeah. So like ARKit is like one of the technologies that's allowing a lot of different AR companies to work on iPhones and iPads. And so a few of those companies taking advantage of the ARKit like SDK is like Lens Studio for Snapchat, Adobe Aero on the Adobe side, Spark AR on Facebook / Instagram sides, and then TikTok is doing some stuff, but their API for AR isn't as open yet. So like have free developers like anybody jump in. So I think it's going to happen, but not quite yet.
Cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of getting into it and just wondering what it's all about. And I mean, Spark AR, it can be super complicated. You know, you open it up in your lesson, you're like, look, there's all sorts of stuff under the hood. There's nodes and all sorts of things. Now, your course isn't necessarily about these inner workings of Spark. This is like Cinema 4D people. They've got some geometry. They want to bring it in and just kind of learn the workflow. And that's the first step, I think, and probably in some of the subsequent ones, we get into, more materials, texturing, other stuff, maybe nodes. Nodes can be scary.
Yeah, I mean, and to build off of that, like the part of the reason why I want to start the course this way was this is what was the hardest part for me when because I have a whole Cinema 4D background. And I remember like the first thing I tried to make basically broke every single rule of augmented reality. And so I had this like Ferrari I downloaded from Sketchfab at one point in time, and I was using it in another video, and I was like, oh, that'd be cool if I had like I'm going to use that model, I'm going to have it, float around someone's head, and I'm going to put all these assets that are really dense and really cool, because my Cinema 4D file looked beautiful. I was like, this is amazing. I want to put this as a face filter. And bag stuff in there, and like it would break. It would be like, no, you can't import that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Why can't I import it? It's a great asset. And then, Spark AR was like, no, it's not to us. It's not for real time.
Yeah.
It's like this, you have a mindset of like a post-production mindset where you have time to like, render stuff overnight or over a couple of minutes. This stuff has to work immediately. It has to be in. And then the other big one that was hard for me was textures. Like I had really complicated shader networks in Cinema 4D that I was trying to drag into Spark AR, and it was just like, nope. Think again. So the course really is like to help people that are like, okay, I have Cinema 4D background, I have that knowledge, but what I don't have is like, how do I start bringing something into Spark AR? So I try to make it very friendly in that sense that it's not gonna, not be too scary. We can do the scary ones down the line because it goes very deep, deeper than you might expect, to be honest. Like it's like, oh wow, they keep adding new things and they keep adding new nodes.
That's cool.
So it gets exciting, and they're super open to feedback, and there's a really nice community there too.
I was gonna say, following along the community, are there any? So like in motion design and stuff like that, you've got your Instagram artists that you follow. Who are some of the big AR people to follow? Like these people are just like cutting edge when it comes to like developing some face filters and stuff like that.
Well, Don Allen Stevenson for one.
Well, I know that.
There's I got 3 people that come to mind, so I think they should be all worth looking them up. One name is Noland. He spells his Instagram name differently than that though, so let me see it. It's like Nolan Cha. I'll have to look up. So Noland. Another one is Luke Hurd. Luke Hurd is up there as somebody who I would say is a really good like mentor in this space and is doing amazing work in the AR space. Another one is Leanne Toki. She's kind of, what's really cool about her workflow is she's kind of getting people that are like 2D artists that don't have a 3D background. How do you get those artists into 3D? Or how do you get art and AR? And that's, I kind of like that, like her route, because it's like, oh wow, you can be a 2D illustrator, and there's a you to be an AR creator as well. Like it's not just a 3D world anymore.
Is it possible to do you have to have a C4D background in order to do any AR stuff? Do you have to have a 3D background for this? Or can you work entirely from like Photoshop files and stuff like that?
Great question. So you can totally work from Photoshop files, and it'll be fine. Like you don't need to have a lot of 3D knowledge. Like especially if you're just getting started, like you can actually just have like you could have a 2D background and at least start working in Spark AR right away.
That's
but
cool.
You might hit a limit though. There's going to be a limit to like, how complex you can make it, how far those experiences can go, but you can do quite a lot with 2D art as well.
Yeah.
So,
one thing that was amazing to me when I was going through your course is when you're talking about like file sizes and keeping everything down, is that Instagram has a 4 megabyte limit,
right?
on every.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
it's. I'm thinking to myself, how in the world do you do something that fits on a floppy disk?
Yeah.
I'm so happy you brought that up because like think about every Cinema 4D file in general, and how much to store it, and like all the data that comes with it, and all the stuff you write out, all the render passes, and how models are. We're looking at like gigabytes per project versus I'm saying, here's your whole file, here's your whole limit, 4 megabytes. And to be honest, what they really recommend is 2.
Awesome.
2
Wow.
is what they have the highest performance, where you're going to get like the best results. So it's like, it's really flipping your whole mind in a totally different direction of like, wait, what are you talking about? What can fit in 4 megabytes? If you're coming from a Cinema 4D background, that's certain. It's like nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing's good. But there is ways. And that's part of the hope is like I try to show some of those techniques of like, here's like 4 or 5 things that you need to know to like think about when you're making something in Cinema 4D. And it will hurt at first. First you're gonna be like, wait, no, I don't want to sacrifice that. No, don't let that go. And it's like, I don't know, for now. We're in like PlayStation 1 days.
Right. Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, it's gonna catch up, but they're trying to make something that supports like all devices.
Yeah.
So it might work well on your newest devices, but then if it like is a terrible experience for everybody else, they're not gonna use that.
Yeah.
You'll be like, sucks.
Is there any sort of like compression going on after the fact that helps keep that a little bit lower?
Yeah, so they do compression before you submit it, but on the back end, I'm pretty sure that what they're seeing, what you're displaying on devices, if you've used a filter, is up to a 4 megabyte file size. So I don't think they're compressing it further than that. At least not that I know of. Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Because the software is changing a lot. I don't know, even in like recording, you sent me some things in chunks and it's like 1 week all of a sudden something was not working and then the next week it was working fine. And
I can build on that more. So 3-4 weeks ago they were on version 99. I've been building a lot of stuff on that version, and then that was around the time when we recorded our course, but at that time there was a problem with the playback controller inside of there because the version 100 has a whole update to the entire playback controller that's actually much better to work with now. And so in that transition period, it was like, oh, it's just not supported all the way right now. And it was like, oh my goodness. So when I said that whole 2 weeks thing, every 2 weeks they release a new version of Spark AR. And it's like, it's a new version. It's not kind of a new version. It's like, it feels like a very new tool. So there's stuff that carries over for sure, and a lot of stuff builds off of itself, but it's like, oh wow, this is different than last week.
Yeah. How many approved
Do
filters?
you ever feel lost? Do you ever feel like, oh man, this is so much has changed. I feel like I got to relearn this.
I haven't felt that way, but it's also like I'm starting to understand like what is the scope of one of their changes, like how much is it going to change the experience. Right now it doesn't, like, because I'm doing them all the time. I think I started around version like 50, like around,
wow.
So it's like 50 versions in like the last year and a half. So yeah, so it feels like normal to me. It's like, oh, okay, they're probably going to change something here. But yeah, that community I was mentioning about, like, they have a whole big community on Facebook that is kind of like the voice and the support community. So when people are like, this thing is broken, they leave a message in there, and then it gets like, tons of people respond, and they're like, oh, I got you. This was the fix for it, or oh, just wait for their update. I think it's gonna, fix that little problem. But yeah, it can be tough when you're working with clients, and they're like, wait, why isn't this working today?
Yeah.
And you're, let me see about that. And then sometimes you can fix it and sometimes you can't yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
how
I
many?
have a hard enough time with Adobe as it is, updating After Effects and things getting broken. I can only imagine like a new update every 2 weeks. That's crazy.
how many?
Yeah, like
How many filters do you have out right now, like published?
oh man. So I have a lot on my own page, but I do a lot of them for brands too, and some of them aren't. I'm not allowed to share yet. So definitely over like a couple dozen, maybe like 24 or so. Not too many. A lot of like personal ones that I have on my machine. So I probably have like under 30 maybe. Under.
Jeff in the chat was asking, do you burn a lot of time reworking things that break? That's a good question.
That's a great question. Only if they need a campaign to go longer. So usually a lot of these things are for short-term campaigns. So like
Gotcha.
it works fine for that delivery, it works fine for a couple weeks, and then if something breaks, they're like, well, we're done with that campaign anyway.
Yeah. What?
So you do have to update them every once in a while. Like in fact, my very first filter is about to expire if I don't update it, so it won't be supported.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
So, wow. So you've got to actually update all of your filters every time, or some of your filters every time they do a new release?
So far, every time they do new release, it doesn't break your filter, but every like big chunk of time goes by where they're like, all right, and they give you a heads up in their system. It's like,
Yeah.
by the way, these 5 filters that you got down here, they're not going to be supported starting on July at this time. So
Interesting.
change something now, or else they're just not going to be supported. So that's a great reminder. I will update those 5 or so that I saw pending in the manager that they have. But yeah, no, you have to update them a lot, and you can have lots of different versions of them. You can also replace a single version with another version, so you can actually just swap it with a new file, but it's still stay filter. So you can see all that metadata that comes with it. They give you a lot of metrics too on the back end of like who's using this, where are they, kind of. So you get some data like that, which can help inform your next filter creation, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the number on your highest filter? How many downloads?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Is it downloads or uses? How do they consider those analytics? It's.
I got you. I'm gonna just look at my manager right now and numbers. So, let me go to my personal one. Also, you can manage other people's filters from your page.
Oh, cool. They have to give you permission, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you mentioned that in the course.
Yeah. So my most popular one has 4.5 million impressions.
Wow.
Oh, man, is that the
crazy
hat
cool.
one with the like what would you call it? The wizard type hat thing?
Called it Yasswitch, spelled YASS, and then witch, WITCH.
Is it this one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Cool.
So that's got 4.5 million impressions. It was opened 2.4 million times. People captured a photo or a video with it 532,000 times.
Wow.
And it's been saved to the device
That's a really good
200
one.
times.
That's hard to believe you got that all under 4 megs.
I know, right?
Oh, I found some strategies over the years on how to like really.
And those little particles, are those specifically within Spark AR, or did you build those in Cinema?
I'm so happy you noticed that. I made those particle systems inside of Spark AR with their particle network generator.
Cool.
The file's lighter. It sometimes benefits to use the generated content that comes inside of Spark. So, for example, another one I used in there was I was going to do a really cool texture for the potion and that I had painted in Substance Painter, but it was a pretty heavy texture, and so it made my file not work. It was over the limit. So I just erased that texture and made it. I just used a solid color fill right inside of Spark AR, and then all of a sudden the texture data didn't have to think about it anymore, and the file now passed.
That's awesome.
Man, I want to play with all this now.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's really fun, and there's a lot of good tools for it too, like resources. And also, if people are interested in building little businesses out of this, a whole market has opened up on like Gumroad, where people are selling like their networks of effects. Like they're like, oh, do you want a glass shader, but it doesn't come with glass shader? Here, buy my my plugin, and you literally just drag it into Spark AR, and now you have a glass shader, and it's got like refractions in it from like your environment, and
That's
it's
cool.
like, that's so good, you know.
That's super cool.
Community in there, and you can bring in rigs. So that hat has let's see, I think I put four bones in the hat.
Okay.
And then I wrote an algorithm from a tutorial I learned on how to take the head rotation and apply a percentage of it to
like
each
a
of the
jiggle. Yeah.
wow.
Uh-huh.
And then how to do an inverse operation the opposite way, because that initially when you bend your head like this, it was bending towards the direction that you were going.
Oh.
Right.
That's not what I want. I want the, you know, but like you have to do the math for that. You actually have, you know, at that point it's like there's not a fix that's like, oh, I'll just click invert in Cinema 4D. It's like, no, what's the math expression
multiply by -1, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Multiply.
Yeah.
You get it.
Eric asked, do you use SnapLens Studio at all?
Yes, I do. So I do make lenses for Snapchat as well. I've actually made them for their AR glasses, the ones that the spectacles. It's really like weird how that works, but they got these two cameras in the sides, and it uses the two cameras to build a depth map that you process in their cloud, and then you can apply multiple different effects to it. But yes, I do use it. To be honest, currently you can do quite a bit more in there, but it's a lot harder to learn for me. So I keep not going back to it as much as the Spark AR stuff, because as of right now, for me, it's just a little bit easier to get what I need done in Spark. Even though Lens Studio does, I mean, it's robust. Like they have a really nice shader network, so that you don't really need to buy those plugins anymore from people on Gumroad, because it's like, you know, their network is really robust. But yeah, I guess it just depends on the goal. Sometimes people, like a brand or a client, they want a private filter and they want to like have it just within Snapchat. That makes sense. I'll go through that process with them. But others want to like reach their populations on Facebook and on Instagram, and those I'm like, okay, well then we should probably do a Spark AR based augmented.
Have you had to do multiple across, like the same one across multiple ones?
Ooh.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
To be honest, one of them has different rules, so it's not even like copy paste. It's like redesign the whole filter again.
Yeah.
Yeah. When a client wants that, I'll be honest with you, I'll say no. And they're like, we'll pay. Like, no, still no.
Yeah.
It's hire a different person to, who's more comfortable in this, in that tool, and then I'll send them assets, but then they can take care of the programming. Because I think that's a big difference. Spark AR's programming is node based, so you're just making nodes and attaching things. So it feels very much like Redshift. It feels very much like, oh, this types into that. But Snapchat's, at least from when I last used it, it was it's not like that. It's more code based to get it to program.
Oh
so
boy.
You do need to do like some code, at least for me, for some stuff. If you want like advanced interactions, but if you just wanted to track the face, you don't have to do any code for that. That's like, oh, drag and drop. But
and you're recognized as a official Spark AR partner, like you're in the partner network. What how does that work, and how do you get to that status?
I know I'm still trying to learn as well, but
4.5 million downloads.
Yeah,
that'll get you there, right?
Yeah, I guess that helps. But so like apparently, like as of now, there's been 400,000 people who've created filters for Facebook's Spark AR, and so the Spark AR Partner Network recognizes the top, as of right now, the top 88 people out of that 400,000.
Oh,
wow,
that's nice.
Give me a trophy. Look at this.
That's awesome.
Ooh.
You've officially been recognized as a member of the Spark AR Partner Network for your contribution and continued success with augmented reality. And
that's awesome.
Yes, so that's part of it. Is like, and guess what? And what they do is essentially there's like brand deals that we'll get. So, normally I was having to find deals and brands by myself, but now it's like I get some assistance from Facebook. They're like, hey, a big brand named blank says they would like to do some campaign in blank, and then they're like, all right, who in our network wants to take this one? And
That's
we give
cool.
That's cool.
That's
Oh.
cool.
I'll try that. You know,
Yeah.
or that one's, you know, that's a little advanced for me. I recommend this person instead. You know, from there. But that's kind of what I was doing before the network. So it's just like, yeah, they're just trying to build out that community of AR creators to expand what is the, you know, the value and the meaning. And yeah, like even like just this last week, I just launched a filter for Tiesto. I made a filter for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited to see like people are like using it all around the world in like the craziest ways. And it's just like, wow, like I love seeing my artwork that I had a vision of it in my head. But then when somebody else has it, they have their own vision, and then they can apply their own creativity in that. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think that you would do this with that, you know? And it's like a whole, it's beautiful. For me, it's really like warm. It fills me up with a lot of joy when you see somebody, you know, take something that you liked to make, that you crafted, and then they're like creating new value for themselves with it. And you're like, oh,
that's cool.
Yeah.
And it takes PNG sequences now too. Is that right? And
yeah, you can bring in PNG sequences, but again, be careful with those.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
heavy.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah. That's funny you said that was the first thing I did when I first made my first effect. I was like, I'm gonna make some cool galaxy texture and animation in 4D. I'm gonna bake it out as a PNG sequence, and I was like, I'm gonna throw that as the background of my filter. And it was just like Sparky R basically was like big middle finger to me. It was like, no, you're not. You cannot.
Can you build it out and be like to be super huge and test it, or can you only test it? Like that would be super cool just to like for a proof of concept to like, you know, this would be super rad if I was using like 2 gigs worth of textures and like whatever, you know, and then just testing it out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. And I guess they have kind of a solution for that. It's their Spark AR player. It works on Android and iOS, and it's a testing space. So you can like your filters there and you can test things out and see them. Gosh, you know, I guess you can go over the limit. I don't know how far over the limit you can go though. But I think you can for that, because it's like, oh, you're testing it. You want to see what things, you know, look like. And so this one, it's not Spark AR though.
That's Arrow, right?
Yeah, that one's Adobe Arrow, and that one has a lot of that one's, if you want, you can do like 50 or 75 megabyte files in Arrow right now.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah. But as a you know, the result though means currently it's a little bit harder to share, because that also means someone's going to need to support that much bandwidth when they download it, if you decide to accept that full space. But
is that one in particular finding like a floor plane and then just playing it on there? Is that what it's doing?
Ooh, I'm so happy you asked that. So Arrow uses a really interesting algorithm that first uses optical image pixel based parallax, and then scans a ground plane. It then switches to the gyroscope of the device.
Cool.
Not tracking any pixels right now in that shot there, because that would be impossible. But with the water movement, so I set a ground plane on the floor beside it, and then moved my device over the water so that I could jump into the gyroscope.
Now you did the animation on that in Procreate, right?
Yeah, so that was the little ghost effect for that one, and so I drew a little animated ghost in Procreate and then exported it out, not a PNG sequence, but rather as a GIF, and then brought the GIF straight into Arrow. That's a really fun workflow for me right now. I'm a big fan of doing that.
Yeah, my daughter has been getting way into Procreate with her friends and stuff, and it's just like the animation end of it has been so great. You know, she's doing cell animation, you know, like old school, you know, and so fun.
I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, it's a great tool for animation right now, and just the fact that it just works so well. Like you just export GIF, and then you're just like, I want this in Arrow. And it's
how big are those GIF files?
I mean, that's up to you. So they have Procreate. You can choose the compressed one or the full res one. So you get that choice as a button. but yeah, you can make a 4K GIF if you like, and it will support that. Or you can make one like a much smaller, tiny little GIF on the screen. In general, like I try to like, it's weird in augmented reality right now. It's very much like there's a lot of compromises to quality to get something to work. So that's, that hurt me coming from like a Redshift background where I'm like, I'm just going to throw, I'm going to put a volume in here. I'm going to grab like, it's hundreds of lights and just, build geometry. And then I'm like, oh my God, I can't even start to do that kind of arrow. Or sorry, not an arrow, but just an AR in general.
Yeah.
The constraints can almost make you a little more creative in that way, though.
Yeah.
That's true. It does. Yeah, because you have to solve problems. You can't just like throw more power at the problem. You have to like, I'll just get a bigger card. Like I see everyone's 2070, or sorry, the 3070, 3080. These amazing NVIDIA cards. But like right now you can't really just throw a bigger graphics card at your augmented reality problem. It's an optimization problem that you have to face.
It's like the original Nintendo games where they were trying to, optimize. They only had X amount of space to put in that cartridge. Same kind of deal.
Really good inspiration. Play some Mario 64 and just like actually just some videos that have come out on YouTube about Mario 64, like the behind the scenes of it. And it cracks me up because I'm like, these are the same problems we're solving today.
Yeah.
It's like, it hasn't changed that much because, again, we're at the start of like a whole new computation space. And where it's going is nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I wanted to get into too, is like VR and all of that kind of stuff. You're way into VR as well, right? And Gravity Sketch, I think, right? You use a lot of Gravity Sketch?
Kind of that right now. Yeah, it's like I keep saying right now. I keep putting all these durations on my statements because of how fast the stuff changes. but yeah, that's Gravity Sketch, and you can sculpt stuff. You can do like legitimate hard surface, high precision 3D modeling in Oculus Quest wirelessly. You're not, there's no sensors in the room. All the computation in that headset, all the hand tracking is in that headset. So I've done Gravity Sketch at a couple coffee shops.
That's funny.
That's great.
Because I'm trying to help future-proof everybody. So part of that is normalizing high-tech nerdy culture. So I'm going to take my headset out of my bedroom and bring it into a public place like a coffee shop. They have a mode in there called pass-through. So you can tap on the side of the device and it lets you see through the cameras. So they actually don't know that I can them, and that's even more hilarious for me.
That is funny.
But yeah, you can 3D model in there and then export your geometry out, bring it into it's so easy to import and export stuff out of there onto your desktop. And you're working in Cinema 4D, you're crafting it, you maybe rig it, bring it to life, and then you paint it, and then you can bring that into Aero or Spark AR. I'm happy you brought up this one. I'm actually planning on rigging those flowers that you'll turn your head into the flower pot, and then as you wave your head, make the flowers kind of like they'll have the same physics as the witch hat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's what I intend to do with that, and I wanted to model it here in Gravity Sketch because it's so lightweight. Like it's able to actually. I feel like this is a really good constraint. If your 3D stuff works well in Gravity Sketch and doesn't crash your device, that's a good sign that it's probably going to be fine in augmented reality.
Yeah.
It's supporting that, I have been trying to push the limits of Gravity Sketch. There is a limit. You can't keep subdividing every object.
Right.
That's going to be like, you'll see it lag, and a lag in VR will make you actually vomit because it makes you sick.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh God, can't see. But I just want to give you an example looking at like those steps. Like when you're in any 3D modeling software on a desktop, the activity of trying to rotate or change the position or scale a polygon is usually several clicks. Like if I polygon A over there and I wanted to turn, I would have to click on it, with my selection tool. I'm going to move it. Then I'm going to switch tools to the rotator. Then I'm going to switch tools to my scale. And that would take a lot of, that's 5-6 clicks to get that action. In VR, all three of those, PSR, position, scale, rotation, you can adjust that all in one action.
Yeah.
Your position, your hand movement, your scale could be a slider on your joystick, and your R could just be your wrist. And you're able to change PSR with unbelievable speeds in VR. And that's kind of why I'm like tripling down on the modeling workflow in VR, because it's different. It's faster for a lot of tasks that even though I've had so many years of training on a desktop, I can actually do certain things faster in VR than I could at my top speed on not VR.
Yeah.
On not VR.
I really wish that that Quill, it was in the Quest. I'm waiting for that.
Here's what I will say, Dave, and I forgot to mention this to you. I bought a Link cable off of Amazon.
Oh, you did?
And it's great. Yeah, you can play it.
It
no
works
problem.
well. Okay, good.
Yeah, works
good.
well.
I'm gonna try that. Yeah.
Yeah, it works well. I guess if you have a nice rig, you got that going.
Yeah.
You can, link it up. What kind of graphics cards are you rocking? Are you?
I've got a well, in my gaming machine I've got a 2070 Super. So yeah, it's just it's a little 6-core Ryzen CPU. It's like 8 or 16 gigs of RAM with a 2070 Super in it. I built it myself and it's a little bit bigger than an Xbox. It's actually smaller than the new Xbox, and that just sits on my my thing below my TV, so that I'm able to play games on my big screen TV in my media room. It's nice.
Well,
that's so good.
and you just got a 3090 as well.
I did just
Lucky.
get a 3090.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Do you have a bot?
So there's an app called Hot Stock, I think it is.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, Hot Stock. It's on the phone, and right now they're only selling the 3090 Founders Editions at Best Buy. So you just tell it to notify you as soon as they go on sale on Best Buy, and I keep Best Buy's app or the website up on one of my computers. Yeah, that was me and my kid. Man, he needed a haircut.
Building the gaming
That's
machine.
COVID hair right there.
Is it easy to replace your graphics card? Because I'm rocking a 1080 Ti.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In that one it's a little bit more difficult because it's so confined. It's a very tight fit for everything, but it's a super cool machine. And but for my normal computers, it's no big deal,
Yeah.
It's fine, but I was saying something else. I don't remember.
The
Anyway.
3090. The app.
3090. So
Yeah.
Hot Stock.
Hot
It's
stock.
super nice. If you're on our Slack as well, we've got a hardware channel where someone will say, "Hey, like yesterday, Newegg was dropping some 3090s. There were some of the gigabyte ones. Not the Founders
With the
editions.
giant fans on them.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
just gotta wait. You just gotta wait until a Hot Stock. And I was worried that Hot Stock would just send me one notification because I'm terrible. I'm the worst human being alive. I like keeping all my Slack notifications popping.
Hundreds,
So all
hundreds.
day my notifications are going. It's actually very comforting for some reason. I've gotten used to it and it's very comforting, except for when I'm doing something like a podcast or something. I'll snooze them for an hour. But Hot Stock, as soon as they go on sale, it will notify you 50 or 60 times.
It's hey,
so that
hey.
you don't just miss it. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
Noted. I'll look into that. I mean, I hate notifications, but
Yeah.
because it would be great to have a card like that. I mean, oh my goodness, right?
Yeah.
All the memes that came out that week when they launched it just cracked me up because it was just it was like I saw this one. It was like a little girl talking to her mom, and the mom's like, I don't know, the little girl's like, what do boys want? And then she's like, you don't know what boys want, and it was suggesting something else, and then it shows him holding the 3090.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's a chunky boy too.
Yeah. Oh, it's freaking huge.
It's at least at least an inch and a half, 2 inches longer than my 2080 or my 2070
Can you
Super.
show us? Can you turn the camera, or is it too hard to get to?
Maybe. Let me see.
Oh, you're on the. Never mind. I thought you were on the
Yeah.
webcam. You could
I
switch
could
to your
switch. I could switch
webcam.
to my webcam real
Yeah,
quick.
switch to your webcam
Let me
and
switch
show
to
us a
my
little
webcam.
tour.
Let's see.
I'm waiting for it to come up. I've got two 2080s, a 1060, and four 1080 Ti's in the other machine because we do like tons of rendering, so it's it's part of our business. But yeah,
I don't know if you can see it there.
we don't have
that
your
chunky.
we don't have your camera yet for some reason.
Sorry. I forgot to hit the check mark on.
Oh
Skype.
yeah, there you go. There's the chunky boy. Cool.
Oh,
So that's my two. I've got a 2070 and a 2080 in there, and then the one on top, the chunky boy.
Those are
that's my
so like
I
condensed.
know.
They gotta be hot.
Actually, not bad. No, it feels fine. But the scary part was the other day. Hey everyone. Let me change this real quick. Back to my Sparkle Cam. Oh, I need to turn my light back on. The scary thing was, so like I used to have like a one graphics card width space in between the 2080 and the 2070 Super.
Yeah.
So I moved that down once I got the 3090. And the other day I'm rendering, then all of a sudden I start hearing this bzzz, and I'm like, oh no, what's going on? I start looking in there, and that electronic smell, like the battery smell. I'm like, oh no, something's frying. So I turned it off immediately.
yeah.
It was just a sticker that had come loose and was rubbing against
I
the
did that
fan.
too. I did the same exact thing once, and it was just a sticker.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
funny. It's very scary.
God, because that's like the brain. That's like the whole thing of that's
Uh-huh.
the baby machine. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, a baby's dying.
Right? You're like, I did not just spend $1,600 on a 3090 for it to blow up right now.
'Cause it's a pretty big. What's the power management? Do you have like 800 watt in there?
I
or-
have a 1500 watt.
Oh, you gotta have
Yeah,
a
you're
big
gonna
power
need.
supply.
So like, our plan is to get two 3090s each.
Yeah.
Me have two, and then Dave to have two, and then take my other ones because my other machine just has 980 Ti's in it. Take the cards that are in there, the 2080 and 2070, and put them in my secondary machine, so that I've got like right now. I had a 600 octane bench. Now it's a 1200 octane bench, which is nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's the day that I got it. We finished like all of our projects for the year, and
Yeah.
I've got nothing to render on it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you gotta do some dailies or something, man.
I know, right?
Yeah. Where do you think that this is all going though? Like, I mean, the VR is cool and whatnot, and we're having fun playing video games. But like when I'm in VR with the Quest 2 and I'm in the pass-through mode, and I can see like the menus and stuff floating in my room, because one of the environments that they have on the Quest is to just have pass-through as the environment. So I'm in it and I'm walking around my office free from wires, and all my screens are everywhere, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait till the camera gets real good and I just can have this on and like put computers up all around me. And
Yeah. Virtual machine.
where is this going? Do you think that there's going to be some AR glasses coming out that are going to actually not look crazy on your head,
Yeah, I'm happy you asked, and from what I've understood, yes, that's going to happen, and it's going to happen sooner than you might think.
I doubt it.
I keep so Matt and I have this ongoing joke. Every time Apple has like a one more thing announcement, I'm like, it's the AR glasses, and he's like, no.
We were walking through the what airport was that? I can't even remember. Was it that? No, it was
I think
the
it's Portland,
Chicago
Chicago.
airport.
Yeah.
When they were announcing, it was like 2 or 3 phones ago, and they're like, "Oh yeah, one more thing," and he's like, "This is the AR glasses. It's gonna be the AR glasses." I'm like, "It's not the AR glasses, dude."
I mean, it's good to be skeptical, so like you don't get your hopes up too much. But I mean, just to give you some example, here's how I'm measuring that prediction: is look at all the top tech companies on what they're hiring right now, and what they're bulk, and then that tells me quite clearly where is the money being invested in, and the numbers in the billions. It's not small. They're putting like multiple billions in the development, the people that are required to make these things happen. I'll give you some more examples that are public facing. Facebook, and they're partnering up with Luxottica. That's like the parent company of Ray-Bans.
Yeah.
and they're going to
They
be
basically own everything.
correct. I'm
All
happy.
the glasses.
Yeah.
All glasses are basically Luxottica glasses, and then you're just you're just choosing from their selection.
Yeah.
So they're partnering up with. I was thinking like parenting relations. They're partnering up with them to have them design the frames and the glass, and they're also going to be making not a single solution, but rather a whole type of suite of glasses that have different looks and feels. That's something that's different than what I heard Apple's doing, which is not that. Apple's, I think from what I've heard from rumors, these are rumors, so we'll keep them at rumors, but there's maybe more like a uniform look, like a look for it, whereas books is going to be
They're
more
gonna
like
look very Apple.
Yes.
Yeah.
right. Their goal is to not though, but like I think initially they're going to be. But where it's all going though is, have you guys been looking into crypto art?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yes. We
Yeah.
just had people on the show this week,
Yeah.
and we talked all about crypto art.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I want to build off of that then, because where I think this is going, like to your question earlier, is I think us people are going to start valuing a virtual product as much as we're valuing a physical product. And I think technology like blockchain is going to actually support that narrative. So we'll have a situation where we might make some really cool render and it's a 3D file format that looks beautiful in AR, and someone can actually own it. Only that person can own it, and only that person can sell it. And people wear it on their tools. They make content with it, and it's something that they own and have. And all of a sudden, that line of this is a digital product, that's a physical product, it's going to get so blurred that it's not going to be relevant. And so that's where I think it's going next. The other part I think it's going next is the AR stuff is going to get smarter. So right now they're like, I'll put it in the words, quote, air quotes, they're dumb in the sense that I can't really talk to my AR creation that I produce in my room, and I can't expect it to do much. That's going to be going away. There's going to be a moment sooner than later where you're going to project an AR thing, but it also has a neural network and a machine learning language model part of that experience.
Okay.
So you'll be able to say, well, what can you do? And imagine putting a face and a voice and an avatar to Siri or Amazon Alexa or Google.
Okay.
Digital girlfriend.
Gosh.
Yeah.
The movie Her with the earpiece.
Yeah.
The only thing that was wrong about that movie was there was not a visual component to her. She was an audio agent.
Right.
It's going to be pretty much like her, but if there's a visual component to it.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, it's like Blade Runner. That's a good example. Blade Runner, 2049. They basically.
I haven't seen it.
What?
Yeah. Oh, don't talk to me, Mister. I haven't seen The Godfather.
I know.
Or Terminator 2.
I
Yeah.
think you'll love it. It's a good movie. Just like in terms of if you want any motivation for why you should watch it soon, it's a lot of great visual inspiration, and it's also sci-fi that's covered a few concepts that have not been talked a lot about in sci-fi. So like it was like refreshing. It was like, whoa, no one's talked about this before in all the sci-fi that I've consumed, and I was like surprised. I'm like, I was hoping to, expecting to see the tropes that I'm familiar with from all the sci-fi I've consumed. And then there's like 3 things that happen in there that I'm like, whoa, I've never heard that concept before. So I think that's where it's going to go. I think it's going to go to a spot where people want actual ownership of their AR stuff. And also I think we'll be able to blend seamlessly between AR and VR. Eventually it's not going to have to have a separate device. It'll be one device that has modes and a setting that like we can switch between. And then also all the neural stuff that they're adding too. So like they just acquired another company for like another $1 billion, I think.
Just a toss in the bucket, right?
They have these wristbands that you wear, and it reads your mind.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen?
I'd hate to see the ads that they try and sell me off of that.
Yeah, that's gonna be the. Yeah. Have you seen Elon Musk's pigs demonstration on?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What did you think? I'm curious what your feelings were about that.
It felt like an episode of Black Mirror. I thought it was not real. I was like, how is this a real live stream right now? And it was so bizarre. But that's where it's going.
the pig demonstration?
What about
I
it?
haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The fact is, like, I'm happy you've seen that, or at least are aware of it, because it's that kind of stuff, like that kind of development is happening behind the scenes at a lot of different companies. It's just not now because it's so early, and that's when I say that this stuff's going to kind of happen faster than you think. It's because it's just like they're just waiting for there to be enough social norms, or it's like, okay, we can share this that we've been working,
right,
and it's not like they're not working on it right now at high speed. They're like everyone's like poaching talent right now. They're trying to acquire as many developers to help make those things come true. So I'm trying to triple down on everybody's mental health, because that's the real thing that's at stake. Because these changes are going to be happening, and if we don't like learn how to like know who we are without it, it's going to be really tough.
Oh yeah. Think about just not having your phone around you for like 5 minutes.
My mom was texting me yesterday. She said, I got a new phone and I forgot my Facebook like login information and I can't get into it, and it's been very hard for me. I'm like, because she's been away from Facebook.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I have a podcast as well, and I had a guest come on recently talk about the difference of primal human needs and modern human needs. His name was Chris Pelk. He had a great piece about it. He was talking about how we've invented needs that that no human had before.
Mm-hmm.
We had like this need to have our phone. This was not a human need for like ever, up until human history was like, now you need it, because if you don't, you're like, it's hard to work, it's hard to eat, it's hard to move, hard to travel, hard to like. You can live without your phone. It's just difficult if you're in certain in many situations. You're both parents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about technology with your kids? Like what how do you feel about it? Like, I'm curious. I'm not a parent yet, but
the hardest thing is filtering what they watch,
Mm-hmm.
like my kid, like he really likes Dude Perfect, which is fine. I've watched enough of it to know that it's family friendly, but you also have, when he first started doing it, he'd take my phone and he'd start watching like YouTube, and you'd have like Ryan. Do you know Ryan?
No.
I hate Ryan with a passion. Ryan is like, he's the worst thing for children, because him and his parents basically play with toys that toy companies send them.
Yeah.
And he shows them off.
I've heard about this.
And now he's got a whole line of his own toys at Target and stuff like that. And every time my kid would watch one of Ryan's shows, he's like, I want that. I want that. I want that, And it's like, no, I'm tired of you watching a show like Ryan or these kids playing with toys and saying, I want that, So like, I completely got rid of Ryan. And then there's this other one. It's like a weird mix between like sexualizing cosplay and children's costume, acting or something. Because like I came in one time and my kid was watching. He likes watching people in costume like act out stuff, and it was like one where there was a guy he was dressed up like Spider-Man, and he ate some like hot chilies and he kept pooping fire. And I'm like, come on, dude, you don't need to be watching Spider-Man pooping fire. It doesn't make you smarter.
See, I'm
and I know Dude Perfect doesn't really make you smarter, but it does help. It does make him want to be more active. He loves sports specifically because of it,
But I'm more worried about the things like you're talking about, those digital goods, and where that's going to move, of course, is into, designing something marvelous designer. And, everybody's walking around when wearing AR glasses is the norm, or Neuralink, in order to see certain things is the norm. It's going to be about it's going to be the same kind of deal that you get like with face filters and things. And if you've watched The Social Dilemma, which is scary, and not only is it bad for our democracy, that's a whole nother story, but the whole situation with kids and suicide rates since these filters and things have come out because they're like, well, I don't look like that in real life. That's gonna happen. But when everybody has these filters on 24/7 because everyone has the glasses on, it's not just clothing. Like you're gonna be literally, you can change your look, you can change your sex if you want to, like anytime you want, you know. And that sounds super far fetched, but it's coming, and that makes me worry about that. So I'm not as concerned about like screen time in general. If you listen to Merlin Mann, he talks a lot about that. It's not really about screen time per se. It's about what you do with that screen time. When I'm was a kid, you know, it was like, oh, you don't get too close to the TV. You're gonna fry your brain.
Brain cancer. Yeah.
And it's like, if she's doing art, I'm fine with that. You know, you want to do art for 5 hours, that's fine. You've done art for 5 hours. But if you're watching dumb YouTube videos with people screaming about video games for, you know, but I do worry about this, what do you call it? Your self-esteem, I guess, when it comes to that.
The hardest thing is, like, especially with YouTube, like, I have to tell him, like, he wants to watch some gamers, you know, because I get it, he's getting into gaming now, and you know, that's cool and stuff. He wants to start like streaming himself. And I was like, well, I don't know who is. He's like, let's watch Ninja, because he saw Ninja on the Masked Singer last season. He's like, let's watch Ninja. And then every other word is shit and fuck. And I'm just like, oh, come on. No, you can't watch that. And so then I'm like, okay. I was like, he wants to watch someone stream Among Us because he's been really into Among Us. So I was like, oh, AOC played that the other day.
Right.
And we get like 10 minutes into her actually playing, and I'm hearing shit this and shit that. And I'm just like, all right, sorry, dude.
Yeah.
You can't even watch one of our people in government play it, you know?
And my daughter's way into not necessarily streaming, but she is posting on YouTube from her phone, and she has some video that got like 40,000 views, and I'm like, who's looking at your video 40,000 times? I don't know. What do you feel about all of this?
Well, I'm happy. Thank you for sharing those details, because like I literally just I try to listen to the stories of like what are kids going through, because then that's kind of what the future turns into. A version of that becomes like the norm. So like hearing this I'm actually kind of alarmed hearing that. But I guess what I'm thinking is, like, I think moving forward, the only way that this technology is going to be sustainable is if it has like a major focus on mental health. So I would have, that's actually what I strive to do, is I basically want to make like an AR VR school in the future that's like free. I want to basically create Ready Player One, that school on Ready Player One that they're all at from the book. They didn't talk about this much in the movie, but in the book, I love this idea of like, you know, self-driven education. It's built around you and your interests, and like it's tailored to you. It's free. It's really good education. But I guess with regards to where it's going, I'm very concerned. I'm super concerned, and it's something I'm making a pretty loud effort internally on those companies to say, hey, I love this stuff, but there's going to need to be some shifts in how we can actually operate as humans moving forward. It's going to be like right now, I kind of feel like I have a responsibility to try to help this technology grow in a way that doesn't like destroy humanity, because but I think it's going to do both. I think it's going to make some beautiful new things that we cannot even imagine today. That's going to benefit a lot. I also think at the same time, it's going to create these new horrific things that we've never had to deal with. They're going to be very big problems. But I also think that that's what the internet did as well. Like right now, we're having this amazing video conferencing call. We're all in different parts of the world. We have color. We have literally color in here. Color is streaming through here. For video, for live stream video for a while. We're all on devices. Like all this beautiful thing came from this emerging technology of the internet, where we can educate and inspire each other and like learn and grow and build a community. But at the same time, the internet's being used right now to do the exact opposite of this.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think AR and VR and just XR in general is that same new thing. It's this whole new world that's going to be used for good and evil, but it's like I don't think we can actually stop it at this point. Like I'm almost in the mindset of how can transition smoothly and try to bolster up and emphasize the importance of the good, but there's gonna be a dark side to it for sure. I know it because that's how humans are with every tech. Like when humans invent fire, they're like, yo, we can cook stuff, we can sanitize things, we can like warm ourselves, we have light in the dark. And then other humans had fire, this new technology, and they're like, know what we can do with this? We can burn each other, we can destroy, we can harm, we can like create permanent damage. And like I don't want to say no fire, because like there's a lot of benefits to fire for cooking and all that stuff. But like maybe if we can find ways to maybe regulate or monitor or manage the use of fire so that it doesn't just burn down the whole world, like is what I want to try to do. Is like, how do we manage the fire versus, killing the fire? Because I think the beautiful stuff that can come from it if we have the mindset, the hope, and the intention to do so. So right now, I think it's the technology is prime, but I do think that these smartphones that we have are going to be replaced by AR glasses in the near future. Yeah. Mostly when fire become more normal and standardized across places, it'll be a lot easier to render stuff, high resolution renders in the cloud, and then just instantly beam that into you, so that you don't need to have a giant 3090 plugged into your back of your AR glasses. There's a whole farm of 50 80s in the future. And they're just going to use 5G.
That's only 4 years away, or 8 years away.
Yeah,
you're right. I was like, oh, that's like probably in the future. You're right. That's like 5. So I think it's up to us, and like I'm personally taking responsibility on it, because like being on the partner network and stuff, I want to be like, hey, let me be the voice of mental health, like for a second.
I like that.
Because if the goal is just to get more eyeballs in marketing, we're doomed. If that's the goal with the tech, we're super screwed. So I don't want that. I would love that. That's a fun feature, but I would also love if like your mental health improved every time you use social media.
Yeah. And
you're actually better off using it. Like that's not true right now for the most people. For me, it is. I have a lot of good friends and family, and I like met the love of my life through Instagram. Believe it or not. Some of my closest friends I get to stay in contact with is through these platforms. So like, I'm a rare example, but like I don't use the tools to like consume me as a human. They're supposed to. And for me, the tool is to bring me up as a human, to strengthen connections with real humans, and like, do stuff that you love and be passionate about and share. So I think it's possible, but it's just a lot harder. It's a lot easier to just, get mind controlled on these things and create a weird perception of reality.
Yeah, in Social Dilemma, they talk about the fact that we've got millions of years of evolution behind us, and we weren't meant to have this stuff in front of us so quick. We can't adapt to it quick enough. So I think it's going to be really important for moving forward that there are people that take that into consideration. So being at the forefront of AR is probably a good thing, to stay on top of it and understand it so that you can help move it forward the right way. Yeah,
because I don't project it, and then it goes the wrong way without me, and I'm like, no, damn it.
Yeah.
I want to be like in that frustration, and dealing with the problems. Like, wait, you mean we shouldn't just like read everybody's mind and control them? Like, let's switch gears a little bit and like help us out, And that's a good point you brought about humans. Like for most of human history, humans at most knew and interacted with 150 people at the max. That's as far humans can have like an intimate is a loose term in this case, but an intimate human relationships, like knowing details about people, knowing gossip, having about 150 people. And then after that, for humans, it pretty quickly falls off. It's hard to have it's really hard for a human to have more than 150 human, intimate relationships. So like, that's like the size of a tribe, 150 tribes. And then you'd break that tribe up into like, families and groups and friends and colleagues. And so if we can maybe start making like make more awareness of this moving forward, we might have some luck for the AR world. I just don't want to just be left to, without me, like to help make it, because it's so new right now, so that it actually can go any direction that we choose. it's so flexible. It's so early.
Yeah.
So, what would you want from it? I'm curious. Like, what do you want from the future of AR?
I don't want ads.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's
Because every time
important.
I see something about AR, it's always pop-up ads, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of you saying, like getting instant information and stuff like that and being able to see it. The problem though with that is like Alexa, Siri, Google, they're all dumb as shit. like they are like they
For now.
if I always say if Siri was my personal assistant, she would have gotten fired a long time ago,
Right.
But the thing, because they don't get you, I feel like there's so much more that needs to happen with that before you'll have like a pop-up of Cortana, talking to you right there. Although it's cool being able to say, oh, show me a picture of a giraffe. And then you get like a fully rendered 3D giraffe right in front of you. That's the best thing, I think, at least for with my kid right now, is like being able to show him something instantly.
Right.
It's like, I want to see how the dinosaurs died. Okay, I'll show you a video of what the animation looks like. And he goes, how did they have cameras back then? And it's like, no, dude. But being able to see, like, for educational stuff, I think it's fantastic. But man, like ads, like I feel like everything's just ads. And as someone who puts out ads, I realize
Right.
how dangerous and how well focused they can be.
Very
and stuff.
focused. Everybody I talk to is like, "Oh, I saw your ad."
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, I know.
There's a reason behind that.
I know you did. But the thing that I think is most important in all of this is being able to distinguish the AR stuff from reality and know
Yeah.
that that is AR, because it's all well and good. I would love to be able to say, oh, especially COVID times, right? Oh, grandma we can sit here and have a conversation, because it feels a lot better than getting on a Zoom meeting. However, if it gets to the point where people can make you see things, that's not very good, because as we know already, thoughts are being put in people's minds to think a certain way right now, especially when it comes to politics, to believe things that are proven to be not true, or not, or no evidence of things. And if somebody can make you think things make you think that things are there that are not there, man, that's getting super dangerous. So we have to find a way to regulate that, because if you go that route, and AI is gonna get a lot better as well. What happens when AI takes over? It makes us all see things,
Yeah.
And it sounds completely just outrageous and unrealistic, but I don't really think that it's that unrealistic.
What up, Wimbush?
What up?
Oh, Winbush is here. I can't read it. Quality is dropped on my screen, but
Oh.
hi, Winbush. Yeah, I mean, to that note, I'm super concerned to say that I have bad news for you.
It's gonna be ads.
Yeah.
Well, not so much. I mean, I have bad news with that too. But the first part you said, like a lot of the AR people that I know that are working very hard in this space are trying to make experiences that are indistinguishable from reality.
Yeah.
That's like goals. So like, that's the problem. I mean, like, we get these amazing render engines and stuff that we're doing in real time, on our machines. I mean, I just like transpose that a couple of years or a decade or 5 or 10 years, and it's like eventually you can have these experiences be closer and closer to reality. And I'll be honest, I have had a few awkward moments myself where I was in AR, putting something in my room for an extended period of time to my iPad, and I was placing a virtual object over there. I was working on it. I was working on textures. I'm spinning it around, and this has happened to me multiple times. I put the iPad down and like looked up or reached towards the thing that I thought should be there.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me a lot of times when I spend hours working on an AR asset, and then I stop myself. I'm like, oh crap, that's really bad. Like, it's happened more than once. So I already know, like, I'm trying to design something that looks real, and I'm sitting there like, oh my god, I thought it was real for a split second. But then you're right, like, it's I don't know what to do about this one.
Well, you could, if as long as you had a fail-safe and you could turn it off. It's if it's implanted into your head, that's when it gets a little iffy for me, because there is no way. It's like, how do I know I turned it off? You know,
we could all be in a simulation right now, Dave.
Well, according to Elon Musk and some other people, it's very possible. But
I think it's possible too.
Yeah. I'm with you. I actually think it's very possible. Did you guys read that any of those books recently come out about the brain? Like
No.
Lively or Wired?
No.
It's great. It's all neuroscience, and it's they have a lot of experiments that they show over the last 10 years. It's really good to read. But yeah, the more I'm reading into neuroscience and quantum mechanics, I'm like, oh,
Just some light reading.
yeah.
that's most of that I read, is that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you know, I think it's up to us to make sure that we safeguard it, and that, of course, that we pass that down to our kids to safeguard it as well. But I mean, in the meantime, we can make fun hats. You
Right.
know?
Yeah, for now, fun, but like, yeah, the values are interesting.
Yeah.
Be a force for good,
Yeah.
like.
I hope so.
A couple quick questions here before we wrap up, though. Mass42 says thoughts on Tesla in the future. I don't know who wants to take
I don't
that.
know what. Yeah, I don't know.
I can say something about it.
Yeah.
They've been putting graphics cards into Teslas.
Oh. Yeah, they've been doing the NVIDIA stuff, NVIDIA cards,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
So I think what their plan is, in the long run, is if everyone's no longer a car owner, everyone just uses a app to hail an autonomous car. It would be from their fleet. And then what are they going to be doing in those cars? They have a nice engine in there, a nice game engine along with a physical car engine.
Yeah.
Power immersive experience.
I love the I saw a TikTok yesterday of someone who showed off putting their Tesla into Christmas mode, where their left and right turn signal were jingle bells.
It's funny.
All right. It's funny.
What was that? Winbush had a question too. Oh, what are your thoughts on the HoloLens
HoloLens.
or HoloLens? Yeah, the HoloLens 2. I think Halo on the brain all the time because
Right.
and I got our Halo friends are texting us right now like, come on, let's play Halo. But HoloLens 2, what do you think on that? I haven't even heard anything about the specs.
Yeah, I mean, the specs are pretty good from what I've heard. I like the concept. I haven't used one yet. I would like to. Currently, it feels like it's not aimed at consumers at all. Like, even their research isn't even aimed at consumers. They're trying to hit the enterprise market with AR. So there's probably a lot of merit to maybe if you want to build out like maybe job training, maybe you want to build out like experiences that aren't like entertainment based. I think might be a good thing to look into and start designing stuff that works for that. Training, like stuff, transportation, like the boring stuff, but I think it's also going to have an augmented component in the future. Is kind of good, it's going to be on those kind of pipelines, I would assume.
Yeah. Cool. Well, anything else before we wrap up that we want to cover here tonight?
It's a good chat.
Yeah.
Good chat.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do it again. You're gonna have to come on for a.
I gotta say, I'm very nervous about AR. Like, I see, like games like Pokemon Go. I think world peace was achieved like during the month that Pokemon Go came out. That I felt was the most peaceful time in all of my life. Was the month that Pokemon Go
You'd
came
pass
out,
the
because
park and you'd see all the kids outside playing
you'd see
Pokemon
everyone
Go. Yeah.
was outside and walking around and having fun and people communicating. Random strangers oh, there's a Jigglypuff over there or something,
Yeah.
And now it's just like, no, now everyone hates each other,
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's good to be afraid right now so that we can and to like with that mindset. But I also think it's important to be open to like how can we use this for good so that we can like lessen how much bad it can they're both. I feel like both's gonna happen. There's gonna be really beautiful things that come from this, and then there's gonna be horrible things come from this.
Yeah.
Jeff wants
Yeah.
to know if you can talk about what is a normal day like for you at work.
Yeah.
Yes, I can share some things. I'm mostly a trainer, so a lot of it is supporting artists and supporting, different people in different pipelines. So whether you're an animator, a lighter, a surfacer, a texture artist, we have all these cool tools, and people want to know how to, like, even if you've been, a really skilled animator at another studio for years, there's a good chance that you've never used our software for doing that same kind of task. So I train people on that stuff and do a lot of artist mentorship and get people like hyped for transitions and like make
What's
it easy.
the software y'all use? Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry?
What's the software y'all use?
Mostly the stuff is proprietary, like invented.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So it's all secretive. But like, if you have the principles of animation down, if you have these fundamentals, then you'll be fine, like, transitioning. It's just the tools are likely to be very different than what you're familiar with coming in. So yeah, so my job is mostly training a lot of that software and then making sure that people feel comfortable in the work and answering questions and then adding to the knowledge base of the studio. So part of my interest in all these other technologies and asking questions and being a part of these communities is to kind of bring in new knowledge and things that can be helpful down the road.
That's cool. That's super cool.
And Feeding Wolves wants to know what books you're reading right now. You were talking about the brain thing. What are there any names in particular?
Yeah, one book I would highly recommend reading if you want to understand what I'm thinking about lately is Live Wired. It's called Live Wired. It's all about the brain. It's really beautiful and it's very, very new. And then another one up there is Case Against Reality, Why Evolution Hid the Truth from Our Eyes.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
That one's all about simulation theory, but it actually has studies that they're providing to it, which are, I like real data. Like I like stuff that can be tested and repeated. I'm not too interested in the pseudosciences. They're fun and entertainment. I'll treat them as sci-fi, but I'm much rather read stuff that's like, here's a bunch of tests that we've done over these years. Here's how we've changed a couple of variables in the test and repeated it.
Yeah.
Here's trends we saw. Then I'm like, okay, now you have my attention. It's science. So they have an argument like that in the Case Against Reality about reality. And I'm sitting there reading it. Yeah, maybe not like read. You'll need to watch some comedy or read something funny or watch a funny YouTube video after reading a chapter because you'll be like, oh no.
Have you seen Devs?
No, someone keeps. Do you recommend it?
Here's the thing.
Yes and no.
Yes,
Okay.
Dave, did you finish it?
I haven't finished it, so
Oh my gosh, just finish it.
I have like one episode left.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem with Devs. It's a long game, and you have to be willing to sit through a lot of really like stuff that you don't care about in order to get to the cool stuff that you do that interests you, And so I don't know. I have been, the more I think about it and the more Dave, you talked about it like a few weeks ago and stuff like that, the more I'm starting to move my mind more to that way of thinking.
Yeah.
I would recommend it just to watch it. It is like a sci-fi murder mystery on Xanax, right? So like everyone talks like this and it's very monotone and there's not a lot of emotion, but whatever. The story's decent.
Nice. I might need to watch it because that's like the third or fourth time in this last 2 months that someone's like, "Hey, do you watch Devs?" After I said,
it's an easy watch. It's only like 8 episodes and there's no second season, so it's just a good story. It is. So
do you have any other questions or anything?
Yeah, one last question here is AR a good Christmas gift? If so, which systems? I would say VR right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Get a Quest 2.
Yeah.
I fell in love with the Quest 2. It's so
great.
good.
It really is great.
Like going from the original Oculus to the Quest 2, like the wireless is just incredible. It's like there's no difference. If any, the Quest 2 is just better because it's wireless. And if you need to charge it, then you just hook up a wire and you're good to go. You know.
And if you have a good card, you can hook it up and play things like Half-Life Alyx, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Really?
and they just
so
just updated it to where it's 90 hertz default, I believe. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So.
Yeah.
Exciting time for that person. Yeah, get them a VR headset. Oculus Quest 2. I think it's at what, $399 is the starting price.
Something like yeah, maybe $299.
Depending on what size you get.
Yeah, like I think the 64 gig one's $299.
That's pretty good. I
Quest.
mean, you still got to be pretty close to somebody to get them a $300 headset, but
yeah.
But yeah. Is Elon?
I know. Yeah, $299.
I do
$299 for the 64 gig and then $399 for the 256 gig.
And yes, Mess, I think Elon is an alien, so we'll see.
I don't think he's an alien. I just think he's socially awkward.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, seeing him talk, I started watching the pig thing and I'm like, you're like a billionaire? You?
Yeah, I don't think he rehearses anything. He just shows up.
No, I don't think he does either.
But I think it is funny that he's
love
into
what
memes.
he's doing for space.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to get to Mars one day. I'd love to explore space, but I don't know. I had a really weird dream about time travel last night. You know, I'd like to see some time traveling happen. I don't see anyone messing with that. Whatever.
What could possibly go wrong?
I know.
Yeah.
It was like a mixture of Back to the Future, Terminator 2, and Doctor Who.
Yeah.
It's like all of the time travel of all of those put together. And starring, what was her name? What's her name? Who played Mona Lisa from Parks and Rec? Jenny something. Jenny Slate, I think is her name. You know, she played Doc Brown's granddaughter, who took me forward in time. Anyway, sorry, that was a
Winbush says we need to do a VR game night. You know, a few years ago we did like a VR meetup on Mograph. We should do that
every
again.
Sunday after our podcast, when we were doing it on Sunday nights, we would get together and we would do Rec Room. That
was fun.
It's so cool. Like especially VR, like doing stuff like that. You forget you're in your bedroom, you know, or your office. And like you actually feel like you're out, you know, having fun, playing paintball and stuff like that, you know?
That's what I'm about to play with my girlfriend right after this, because we're both quarantined right now.
Yeah.
We're going to go in a rec room and do some rock climbing.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we really appreciate you being on. We got to do a full show sometime on the podcast rather than a special. And talk about all sorts of things. I think it'll be fun. And
I'd be delighted. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's such a pleasure. And for those that are here, please check out the course, the mini course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Totally. If you go to mograph.com/classes, you can get to it here. You can find out more information. It's only $37. And you can check it out. And in fact, you can rewatch this special on the page as well if you
That's funny.
enjoy being meta, which we do. So, that about wraps it up. If you're new, make sure you check us out every Monday at 12 Central. 12 Central, we do our weekly podcasts and have all sorts of guests from all sorts of different areas of Mograph, and we're moving into these new technologies like with Unreal and everything else. So check us out there. And don't forget to hit us up if you want to join our Slack as well, info@mograph.com. So we're going to get out of here. So everybody have a good night, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, stand by one moment.